Welcome to the Retirement Roadmap Show. I'm your host, Dave Nagy. And today we have in the studio Tony Shore. Tony, how's it going, my friend?
Oh, well, I'm here with Super Dave Nagy. It's going great. I mean, what else could I say? Super Dave's here,
Oh,
so
stop it some more. Stop it some more.
everything's good. Well, I'm excited because you and I got to see each other, and we got to
Yeah.
hang out with a few hundred of the top financial minds and advisors from across the country at the Big Gradient Summit down in Scottsdale. That was beautiful. It was fun.
Mhm.
I learned a lot. I know you shared a lot with other advisors. Everyone looks to Dave Nagy for the
Yeah.
answers, and you learn from other advisors as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a great event where the best minds in the country, we all get together and we share ideas. And I always learn something that I can take back to my team and
Sure.
and help my clients with to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the people that we work for. And it's such a great time. I always enjoy it. Great to see you. Sorry we didn't get to spend more time together, but we're both highly sought after individuals, so
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
how it goes.
Every time I saw you, you were engaged or running somewhere or talking to people. And
Yeah,
you know me, I've got to try to, press the flesh, so to speak, shake hands
yes.
and talk
I
to
did
as
get to
many.
hear your voice the whole event, though.
Oh yeah, how was that? Did my announcements? I did a
You
lot
kept
of
me awake.
introductions.
You kept me awake for sure.
Yep. And now, welcome to the stage, Dave Nagy. Yep. Yeah, I love that. That's the most fun. That's the fun part of my job. Yeah.
Yes, I could tell you were
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's always fun. Well, hey, Dave, you picked an amazing topic today, and I love the title you came up with. Retirement is like racing. You win or lose before the race begins, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In my younger years, I did a lot of racing. I raced a Dodge Viper. I was West Coast champion 2 years in a row. I took second in the Nationals. I've raced the Lucas Oil Off Road Series in my side by side. I
Wow.
raced the Baja 250, the 500, and the 1000.
Awesome.
And I can tell you, none of those people that win those races, they don't do it the day of the race. It's all the planning and the preparation. It's the research that they do on the tires and the conditions. When we ran the Baja down in Mexico, 250 miles, 500, 1,000 miles, you have to pre-run that race for weeks in advance. You're down there and you're learning all the shortcuts and the things to avoid and the things that you do want to do, right? And where the pit stops are. You know, Tony, retirement is the same exact way.
Hmm.
You've got to start preparing in your 50s and 60s for tax planning, income planning, estate planning, all these things that have to be done well in advance. And so, for decades, Tony, Gen X was told to save, invest, right? And everything
Right.
will work out because Social Security is not going to be there for you. And now a lot of them are hitting their 50s and their 60s. And when they come in, they say, Dave, something doesn't feel right. And the question isn't how much have you saved? The question is, will it be enough? And the number one concern for people in their 50s and 60s is not dying, it's running out of money, you
Yeah.
know?
That's the number one fear, isn't it? Running out of money in retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the first generation that we've seen that's retiring. They don't have pensions. Their life expectancies are much higher. Healthcare costs extremely high. And most, if not all of their wealth, it's tied up in market-based accounts and equities and stocks.
Yep.
So this creates,
401ks, 403bs,
yeah,
TSPs, it's all tied to the market, and most of it's tax deferred, so you're going to end up paying taxes on that, right?
yeah, yeah. And the new risk now is living longer than your money.
Well, that you talked about longevity as being one of the issues, and I always say the good news is, Dave, we're living longer. The bad news is we're living longer,
Yes,
right?
Yeah, and you don't retire on your portfolio, you retire on income. And when you stop working, your income stops. I tell people in my workshops, you are now permanently unemployed. And now that big nest egg that you've built up, you have to turn that into reliable income that lasts month after month, year after year, until you're both dead. And the biggest challenge that these people going into retirement face is turning those assets into reliable income.
I think that point you just made is so important because it's a wake up call for all our listeners and viewers out there, for everyone, all of us, myself included. And I see that as a wake up call because if you knew, let's say you were 40 years old and you knew that in 2 years you were going to be unemployed for a 20-year period. Or let's say you knew next year you were going to lose your job and be unemployed for 20 years. You knew that was going to happen. Would you start to spend differently and do things differently? Of
Yeah.
course you would.
Yeah, of
If I
course.
thought tomorrow I was going to lose my job and not be able to find another one for the next 20 years, do you think I would change my habits and change what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Well, that's what retirement is. It's basically you're going to be unemployed 20 to 30 years. So you have to have right. It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
And,
and the goal is no longer.
people don't change what they do and they don't do
Yeah.
anything about it. They don't have a plan, a savings plan, a spending plan,
Yeah.
an income plan for retirement, even though they know it's coming. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see it a long way off
No,
usually.
we're creatures of habit, right?
Right.
We don't like change. We don't like to do new things. But as you get closer to retirement, the goal is no longer beating the market. It's to build a system that pays you every month for life. And smart plan is, separate your money by purpose. What's for income? What's for growth? What's for safety? And this is what I teach people when they come into the office. We have to have different buckets for different strategies. And when everything is in one pile, the risk is hidden, right? When money has jobs, risk becomes manageable. And this ties directly into the second big trend right now, and that's Roth strategies and tax planning, Tony, because like you mentioned earlier, everyone's got a 401k. They're deferring tax until later. But that tax time bomb is coming. And if you don't build a plan, those large 401ks, those large IRAs, it all sounds good until you realize every dollar coming out is taxable.
Yeah, it's a joint account with Uncle Sam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you might say, "Oh, I've got $100,000 in that IRA, or I've got $1 million saved up in my 401k and IRA, so I've got that money to spend in retirement." No, you don't. 20 to 30% of that's going to go right to Uncle Sam.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I always tell people, when you did the 401k or you did that IRA, you went into business with Uncle Sam, and he's the worst
Yeah.
business partner you ever had because he can change the rules.
Yeah, he
the
can change how much he gets. He can
Yeah.
increase the amount you have to give him once you get to retirement, which
Exactly.
may very well happen.
Well, I always say, they just made the tax brackets permanent. Well, there's nothing permanent in the tax code. It's written in pencil, and it's written in pencil so that they can change it, right? And I
Right.
think those of us that have been around a while, we've seen this.
Yeah.
They have made the tax changes permanent 7 times.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. At least. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's interesting. And that's another good point. We're in historically low tax brackets right
Yes.
now.
Yes, we are.
So, and our deficit is climbing exponentially. So, they're going to have to raise taxes eventually.
Yeah. Mathematically, they have to.
Yeah, they will have to. So, what do you want to do about it? And I know there are different strategies to take care of that, right?
Well, yeah, but you got to start thinking about, required minimum distributions,
Yeah.
higher Medicare premiums, Social Security taxation, and then the large tax bill for your heirs. They're built into that structure. I call it the tax time bomb.
Yep.
So I'm a big fan of Roth conversions. It allows you to move money from taxable later to tax-free forever.
Right.
Right. So if you do it correctly, it can lower lifetime taxes, reduce your Medicare penalties, protect Social Security income, and give you control. And I think that's the big one for most people, is having control of their retirement. And control matters. When all your money is an IRA, the government decides when you withdraw and how much tax you're going to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't even think he's my real uncle, Uncle Sam. That's Uncle Sam and Aunt Irma. Those are the ones you don't like to see at the coming over for the family gathering. I'll tell you that.
I agree, and so, as you build up your Roth arsenal and we do Roth conversions, you decide. And now with the new catch-up provisions, it's even more powerful. If you're over 50, you can save more, convert more during your your peak earning years. And that often, that last window before RMDs begins, you got to take advantage of that. And that's what we do with a lot of our clients. We work on a strategy for how much to convert, how long we're going to convert it, to try and get you to a point where when RMDs begin, you don't have to take them.
Yeah. There you go. And you need a plan in place, though. A lot of people don't have a plan for how they're going to deal with RMDs, required minimum distributions, once they hit their 70s. I just want to clarify, RMD stands for required minimum distribution. I used to think it stood for really massive donut. But that's just because I'm constantly thinking about food, Dave. So
now you got me thinking about food.
Yeah, right, exactly. But you're right. And people over 50, there are catch-up provisions, and you need to have a plan in place and take advantage of those, don't you?
Well, absolutely. And I really think that the winners of the next decade will not be people chasing hot investments or trying to beat the market. They're going to be the people who build reliable income and tax-free cash flow as they move into and transition into retirement. And, Gen X is not running out of time, but they're running out of excuses.
Right, to get started.
You
There's
gotta get
time, but
started.
you got to start now, right?
You got to start now.
Yep. I mean, and what are some of the solutions and some of the things that we need to be looking at there?
Well, you've got to start funding those Roths,
Yep.
funding your catch-up provisions.
Yep.
I have most of my 401k contributions are going into the Roth.
Yeah.
And a lot, it's funny. I talk to people all the time and I say, you're putting all your money into the IRA portion of the 401k. Why aren't you funding the Roth? Oh, I don't have a Roth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah.
No, I don't. So then we'll get on the phone. I love doing this with clients. We'll get on and we'll conference call the 401k custodian. And I'll bring the client into the conversation so that they authorize me to talk. And I'll say, do you guys have in your 401k, do they have an option to put into their Roth? Oh, yeah. And they're stunned. They didn't know that. So
yeah,
90% of all 401ks now offer a Roth option.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, an easy solution to start building that Roth arsenal.
Yeah. And you don't have to do one or the other. You can do both.
Right. Do both.
Your company, most companies that offer their employees an employer-sponsored retirement plan, like a 401k or a 403b or TSP, now offer Roth options, and you want to take advantage of that. If you can't or don't want to, or your situation doesn't warrant putting it all in there and paying taxes now, so you don't have to pay taxes on it in retirement, at least some, right? You want to have some money in a tax-free bucket when you get to retirement, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, what we'll start to do as clients transition into retirement, we'll start doing large Roth conversions before they turn on Social Security, before they start pulling out of the IRAs for income, to keep their income as low as possible so we can maximize those tax brackets. And even while you're working, you can use up your tax brackets by doing Roth conversions. if you're in a 22% tax bracket, but you're not using up all the bracket, do some Roth conversions and use up that bracket.
Yeah.
May as
Yeah.
well. It's
Yep.
unused bracket. I like to call it required maximum distributions, right? Get the most out of those IRAs as quick as you can so that when RMDs do actually begin, you don't have to take it because, Tony, markets create opportunities. Income creates security. Tax-free income creates freedom. And that's really what we're trying to do. And that's what retirement is really all about, isn't it? Freedom.
Yeah. And that's what real retirement planning is. You're right. And that is why it's so important, Dave, to work with a trusted financial services professional who's a fiduciary. And you and your team there at SRS Wealth Management, you have helped so many people in the community, and you have all the tools people need. It's holistic financial planning. It covers everything from market investments and assets under management to if you need insurance as part of the plan, healthcare opportunities, Medicare planning, tax planning, and looking at taxes in the future. This all ties together, and you need that. You need somebody who's looking at the big picture, not just, what's in my 401k, or not what's just in the stock market, or not just insurance products, right? You need to look at the big picture and figure out what your balance is, because everybody's situation is different, correct?
Yeah, everyone's situation is so different. And I think that's why a lot of people, when they get into their 50s and their 60s, the person that got you to where you are is probably not the person that's going to take you into retirement. Because most of those advisors out there that I run into, they're all about growing the portfolio. They're not talking to their clients about estate planning, longevity, Social Security planning, Roth conversions, income planning, all those things you just mentioned, right? You want to have someone that's going to take a holistic approach like my team and I. And we have a whole team that helps us. We've got attorneys to help do the estate planning. We have CPAs to help do the income planning and the tax planning. We have certified financial planners to help us with, the income planning, Social Security planning. And we build this together to help create a holistic plan for our clients. So if you're out there and you're wondering, how do I get a hold of Dave? You can call us at 619-460-9433. Again, 619-460-9433. Call our office. Come in for your free consultation. Everything's complimentary. We don't charge for it. You could go to our website, srswealthmanagement.com. You can see the workshops that we have coming up. Sign up for one of our workshops. Come and watch what we do, and we'll show you how we do what we do for our clients. And come on in. It's complimentary. We're happy to help. We want to educate and empower you to make the best decisions for you and your family.
All right. Thanks, Dave. Great show today. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of The Retirement Roadmap with our host, David Nagy.
Thank you, Tony.